Gruesome Magazine.
Hello once again, I am your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-host Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Christopher G. Mohr, and I will take a look at very spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are reviewing MOLOCH, streaming on SHUDDER. And with me this week is my co-host, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how are you doing, sir?
Excellent. Howdy doody.
Howdy doody. All right. Also joined this week, it's Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing?
I'm good, but I don't understand. Did I miss something?
It's before your time. That's okay. Also joining the award-winning filmmaker.
Christopher.
Okay. I still don't get
Mohr,
it.
how you doing, sir?
I'm okay. I'm a little tired. I just had this need to dig in my backyard all of a sudden.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, I'm doing okay. I'm hearing whispers for some reason.
Right. Hearing whispers.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we are gathered. We are here to review MOLOCH. We're going to give you our first impressions. That will be spoiler-free. Then we're going to dive into a discussion. We will get into spoilers. We'll get into twists and whatever else, and have a good time with that. Then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Of course, we hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others that we have on the site. And if you do, we would appreciate if you hit the like button, the subscribe button, or share with a friend. It'll do wonders for us, and we'd be very, very grateful. And of course, we'd love to hear your comments down below. All right, let's get into things. Let's take a look at the card. Ba-dong! I hit the right one at least. MOLOCH 2022, available streaming on SHUDDER beginning July 21st, 2022. Directed by Nico van de Brink. Written by Nico and Dan Baker, or is it Don Baker? It might be Don Baker. I'm not really sure how you do two A's. The cast includes Sally Harmson and Alexander Willem.
Okay.
Runtime. Runtime's an hour and 39 minutes. Synopsis is Betriek lives in the at the edge of a peat bog in the north of the Netherlands. When she and her family are attacked by a random stranger one night, Betriek sets out to find out an explanation. The more she digs, the more she becomes convinced that she is being hunted even by something ancient.
Ooh, spoopy.
Watch out for those peat bogs if you
I know.
watch one of our other reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Spoopy indeed. That's funny. Yeah. Okay. Let's just dive into this, and we'll go in order. Christopher, you're up first. What was your first impression of MOLOCH?
I absolutely love this film.
Nice.
It's a folk tale meets fairy tale meets supernatural elements. It created a mythology around something, and I actually was looking it up online to see if it was real. and I think the actors are amazing. I think this does what a horror film should do. You meet these characters, you get to be a part of their life, and you care for them. So when the peat bog hits the fan, you're into it. And I was really really intrigued, because everything from the opening scene, which is like, oh crap, what the heck is going on here, to that little girl is great that's in the film, and when all these things are happening, and I was like, oh crap, what's gonna happen next, and all these creepy things that happen, and even some of the visuals are just like Mike Flanagan level visuals, which is great considering this I looked online, this director, this is like his first feature film. He's made a lot of short films before this. If I were to make this as my first feature film, I would I'm done. Because it's really a well-crafted story, and I think a lot of times these folk horror stories can work or not work, and we've seen that a few times, but this works well to where the mythology they create. And even there's a part in the movie where they kind of tell the story through a play, which is really well done. So I was really blown away. This is one of the best films I've seen all year, along with some of the other best ones. I was really intrigued and loved. And it has one of the best haunting endings of a film I've seen in a long time.
Yes.
That's all. I mean, quick and to the point. I really love this film.
There you go. Crystal, you're up next. What was your first impression of MOLOCH?
Whoa. Did you hear
right
that?
Right behind us. Right
I
behind
think
us.
that was like lightning or something. It's like, or it was a gun. I don't know. We do have like out in the, you know.
Or creepy women in the woods.
Ooh, they're coming to get me. Okay, so I also really enjoyed this film. I think it was shot really beautifully. I think that the story is very good and a little confusing at points. Actually, really only one point, the end, because we were actually talking about this before, where I was trying to figure out some things that happened, but we'll get there in a bit. Yeah, the actors are phenomenal. I really loved the archaeologist dude. I think that there are a couple things that did kind of show that this director was new and fresh, and one of them was a really bad cut. Like, you don't cut the same shot, but wasn't that it's okay. You know, you typically want to like give yourself like a 30-degree change or something. I think they were trying to do it for some reason, but it just looked not great to me. I'm sure that the director knows that this happened and this was the only footage they had, and he probably thought it would work, and he's probably kicking himself in the butt for it, so I'm not going to kick him anymore for that. But I loved the color grading on this film. I think the overall tone and the feel is, I don't know, I can't explain it. It almost does have kind of an earthy, otherworldly kind of feel to it. And I know that sounds strange. It's very dark, but not dark? Question mark. I think they did. I think some of it was just shot. It was really shot well at points and lit really well. And there's kind of a weird sex scene that I didn't really understand, but it was probably cold. So I can understand that too. I was like, I wouldn't want to put my actors through that either. Okay, I'm getting into the nitpicky. Yeah, it's a great film. The story is really cool. Like, really super cool. And some of the effects look really good. Like, I love mummies, or actually technically not, well, probably a type of mummy, but like preserve, looks, yeah, really super cool. So I think, yeah, I liked it. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry. I could go off.
What was your first impression of MOLOCH?
I think it's a combination of Crystal and Christopher. I liked it a lot for all the same reasons that they've talked about. I thought it was beautiful. I mean, the cinematography is great, and those shots in the fog where they managed to show the exact amount of image that, or, you know, of a figure in the fog as it slowly emerges. That was great. And I don't know, maybe it's not that hard to do, but I think it must be because most films it's too dark. It's too hard to see. I thought it was great. Very atmospheric, great folk horror movie. If you're into folk horror, this is really good. I loved Sally Harmson. Although, you know, I kind of started to fall in love with her until the end. Not so sure now. But anyway, I thought she was great. As are the woman, whoever plays her mother and her father.
Oh God, yeah.
And the archaeologist. God, it was just great. And as I don't know, I'm just babbling, you know. I loved it. I loved it. So atmospheric, but yet still, you know. And it's one of those things. It doesn't tell you exactly what, you don't know exactly what's going on, but it doesn't waste time with a big exchange of a story of exposition. You know, you get little pieces as you go. The closest thing you have to exposition is when the one scientist looks up the legend.
And the play. The play is exposition.
The play.
But it's done so.
Yeah, that too. But the play was cool. I mean, Hey, I'm sorry. Well, I'll wait for spoilers, but I loved it.
You loved it. I really enjoyed this as well. It's very much so. Like, I was actually surprised how much I enjoyed this. I really got wrapped up into it. Somebody said, like, you care for the characters. You really do. I like the family dynamic. We got the young girl, we got the mother, and we got her two parents, and each one is kind of unique in their own way. They're and the dynamic's interesting. It's and then you have the outsider, right? The person that's come from I forget where they were from.
Was it?
It was like,
Were they Dutch?
they were Dutch or Belgian. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They're there as archaeologists with finding these little bog people.
People.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of digging in this movie, and they dig up these people that are mummified in the bog, and there's mysteries around it. It's fascinating. There's all this lore that we get to learn. It's really crafted well. It's paced well. Like you said, it's lit well. The DP on this did a tremendous job. And then I actually think there's some of the creepiest scenes. There's some scenes. This is the kind of creepy, scary scenes I love. And you give me a bed with something creepy happening at the foot of it, and I'm in. And there's more than that. And it's just like I was shocked how much I enjoyed this film. It is, and one thing I love. Okay, I want to say this, and then we'll get into everything. Is that I love being exposed to these through Shudder, because Shudder brings a lot of these for us in the States, overseas films to us, and Netflix does as well, to be fair. And it just to be exposed to all these different types of filmmaking ideas and stories and stuff. It's been such a treasure to be a part of our podcast, and so that's one thing. And the second thing is that the subtitles. There's subtitles in this. There is some English in it because the archaeologist speaks English, but a good sign for me personally when I'm really into a film.
I forgot about the subtitles.
Is when I don't realize there's subtitles,
Yeah.
and I'm just reading along, instinctively, and that's always a tell for me that okay, this one has me, and I totally forgot. It may have helped that there was English parts, but they had subtitles too.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Sometimes they didn't match. That was weird, but that's always the case. It seems like. But let's get into the spoiler part of it, because there's a lot to talk about. I don't know where we want to go with the spoilers, but
I don't think we should spoil the end.
I have a
Okay.
question. This isn't about the end.
Well, let's
but
start off with the question, Jeff.
The kids play.
Yes.
Yeah.
Were those little kids supposed to be sperm?
Yes.
Yes, they were, and that was a big egg they were sperming
Well, I
around.
know. That's why I was like looking it up online to see, is this a real thing? Do they do these weird plays about these people that get like cut their necks open and they get impregnated and stuff? Yeah, they were supposed to be sperm, and I found that to be hilarious. But it is weird how, like, if you had a play here, people would be like, parents like, oh my
Whoa.
God. But you have other cultures that are all about this darkness and stuff that you could sort of see that being a thing, especially being around like an actual demon. Because there's Moloch is an actual demon that sacrifices children. So
Yes.
so yeah, that's what you were correct, Jeff. That's what it was.
It's used as a big.
I'm watching this and
cautionary
I'm
tale,
going,
but,
wait a
yeah.
minute.
But I do find it funny that they had the little play, and when they enact the cutting of the neck, they just like a Sharpie
Yeah.
or something.
Mhm. That actually
It's
does
just,
really well.
it's like, but see, it's like part of what's interesting about this is you don't know how involved the people in the village are. Not really. I mean, because the fact that they have this play and are like teaching their young kids about this says to me that they're more involved with this than they're pretending to
Well,
be.
and I think that's the one thing that's the mystery of this movie is like, are they going crazy? Is it supernatural? Is it only
Yep.
affecting them? Is the village involved with it? So you don't really know till the very end, any kind of and even so, you're still kind of questioning like, to what level there, if there's any kind of participation or what's happening. But at the same time, it's kind of interesting. Do you have the exposition part, which is done as almost like a children's play, even though there's a person that's reading from like a Wikipedia page or something. And there's actually a Wikipedia page that has that same picture that they're using.
That's cool.
And it's a really great way to tell something that's really a gruesome, weird, twisted story that you can never. Are these kids enacting this in front of people, and this is something that they look forward to doing and participating in? That's such a weird, effed up thing that you could see as being something that would be part of like a folk horror type story. You know, it's almost like if people reenacted Wicker Man on stage. You know,
that would be cool. Actually, yeah.
I love that they have the archaeologist person as being such a big part of the story, because it allows us as outsiders coming into it, right? And and we're seeing the story, even though we're with the mom character all the time, or we still see it through his eyes, as if it were through his eyes, I feel like. And I love how, like, when they pull up the bog people, and they're just this mummified, ugly things, and he's like, it's so beautiful. He's just really into it. And I don't know, it
was beautiful though.
Well, yeah, it was, but it felt authentic. It felt authentic, and their relationship, their attraction to each other felt authentic, because she's an outsider in her own village because of her scene is cursed, and we learn a little bit more about that as the film goes on. So I don't know, I was really intrigued with it. I felt like the characters were in danger, and that's a lot of times what is missing. Either you don't care that they're in danger, like a Friday the 13th movie, that's the point, or you're like, I don't even like this character, hurry up. Get rid of them, right? So I enjoyed that.
Although I will say, Crystal, just to piggyback on something you said earlier, at least they kept their coats on during the sex scene.
Yeah.
Because I think most movies are like, oh, we're just gonna have sex and
and that's what I was saying. I was like, that's what I was laughing about.
Yeah.
I mean, they are in a cold ass bog. So.
That's what I said. I said I know it's cold. Like, that's why I kind of laughed about it, because I was like, I don't have a problem with that. I get it. I mean, come on.
I would have had more of a problem if they just took all their clothes off
and
just willy-nilly. But when they still had coats on, although I was thinking his ass has got to be cold as hell.
Probably wasn't even thinking about it, I bet you. But anyway.
Yeah, right on.
I also, me, I love my 70s horror movies, and what comes with 70s horror movie are very dour, downbeat endings. And this one is very much like that. I love the ending of this.
But I think the way it does it is a classy way to do it.
Yes.
It almost feels more like, I don't know what to compare it to, but like a classic horror, old school horror ending as well.
Yep.
I mean, it's not as. I mean, it's not as depressing as it could be.
It felt right, though. Right. Like the only appropriate ending, really.
Well, it's hauntingly beautiful, and I almost felt like something Mike Flanagan would do, with like the Haunting a Hill House, because it almost has that Haunting a Hill House type aspect to it. It has almost like a gothic horror type thing to it, the way it ends. And I just loved it. I thought it was just like beautifully crazy, haunting, and gorgeous, and just a great way to, and sad sort of way to end it.
Yep. And there's some visuals at the end, especially.
Oh yeah.
That I was like, that is scary. I think I actually had nightmares.
It's pretty creepy. I mean, you definitely don't want to look at the end of your bed.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Anytime soon.
But even the one, the shot after that through the window, I thought was really creepy.
Well, the window thing, I think, is just perfection.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like one of the best scenes per se that I think just encapsulated is just perfect in the way it's done.
Well, what's interesting is, I don't know if you noticed it, is that that the final scene you see one character, but before that, whenever you see those things outside,
it was her.
It's a mom in there, right? So that that's where I was going with our discussion beforehand. We're not gonna get into that here, but
Well, I mean, but you see a little bit
I
of that
love
creepiness
that.
too, because there's an elevator scene that's kind of creepy too.
oh yeah, with the girl,
Mhm.
all that was really
Yeah.
She was so convincing. The girl, that whoever did that one role, when the end of it, when she kind of collapses in the corner, it was like
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah.
'Cause
Although
that could be bad, you know.
well, yeah. Well, I was kind of wondering. Well, there's all kinds of things I was kind of wondering. How are they gonna get out of this situation? Because even the way it kind of ends, I don't. Well, you would explain away everything that happens at the very end, but I mean, I will say that I think my only criticism, and there's just moments where people just like look at stuff all slack jawed, don't do anything, and because there's a part on like the stairs with the mom and the
Oh
daughter
yeah.
was like, "Move, do something."
So
What are you standing
this
there for?
supports my theory even more, Doc. See, like
Mhm.
the people of the village are actually the ones that are getting
They're
possessed.
participating,
Are
yeah.
no, they're trying to stop the curse.
Hmm.
Okay, but I don't want to give it away
Yeah,
because
so the ones who hear the whispers are not the whispers of,
they're not the whispers of Moloch.
Yeah.
They're the whispers of the people who have been before.
Yeah. The twist is
Yeah,
on the-
so
on the
you
line.
actually helped me figure out the end. That's why I said right before this, I figured out the end because of something Doc said. All of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, of course that's what happened. Now I get it, totally.
I didn't get that either, and that makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
adds
the,
so much
what the
more
girl
depth to it.
says,
Yeah.
what the girl says in the elevator
brilliant.
makes
She never
a lot
see?
better. Yeah.
Yes, because that was something she needed to know. Yep.
This makes
See?
me love this film even more. There's not so much more to it. I mean,
Yep.
it's because I think there was parts I was like, "Oh, I don't understand. Oh, okay. So yeah, now that makes even more sense.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
inter-
why.
Yeah, it's interesting that they had, we talk about it on the Star Wars where things are secular, and the mom is in the flashback. She's in the basement, and the blood's coming through the floor.
Yep.
Right, and you hear what's going on, but you don't know what's going on. And then her daughter is in in the closet below the bed, and she hears the same thing. And I really like that aspect of it.
Well, there's a point where she says a saying at the very end without giving too much away. She tells the guy this saying, "Bilk op on a dig" or something like that. And I actually looked online, and that translated it says "my view of infinity." So it's this
Yeah, never-ending
forever
cycle.
repeating cycle of things. There's just so many great. I mean, literally after I watched this, I was Googling like, "Is this real?" And I think that's a great example of. Yeah, I think that's a great example of telling a story to where you make you question. It's like the Blair Witch Project or something like, is this thing real? Did the people go out in the woods and actually disappear? And I was like, I mean, as somebody that's making a movie that's creating its own mythology, I was hook, line, sinker in love with this story and how they were telling it, and through the characters, the dialogue, through the it's such a well-told, well-crafted story, and like you talked about the cinematography, Jeff. I mean, the cinematography is really off the hook. There's some really beautiful shots. There's just even when it's the intercutting between the play and them and the woman reading it. There's like a scene where she sees this like drawing at this underneath the thing, and then she's like split in half, and she's looking at it. There's so many beautiful shots. Even the use of like drone shots that we always crap on sometimes. I mean, there's really beautiful camera shots where we see the cars driving and the camera's like in a certain position. I was like, as a filmmaker, I was like, ooh, every shot in this is really well done. There's even one shot where they follow the little girl when they're doing the play, and they follow her through the different rooms. I mean, it's not just like one type of thing. And even the part where the father's in the woods and you hear the ringing of the bell.
Yes, that was good. That was
sound design along with flashlights, and you talk about Jeff like seeing stuff off in the distance, and even I was like, "Is there something there?"
Yeah, and there was often something in the shadows.
It sucks you into it because you're just like the main character. You're trying to like, did I see something? Was there a girl over there?
Yeah. Those screams were hair raising too.
All right, well, let's go ahead and dive into our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Christopher, start us off.
MOLOCH is a really well crafted, beautifully haunting story that it has really great acting in it. It's got great performances in it. It's got really beautiful cinematography. It's got a story that even just us talking about it, I realized there's even more layers than what I thought when I initially watched it. And that just adds more too. And because they tell a story that makes you so engrossed in it, to where it's like I had to look it up. It's like in the Netherlands, do they actually have this demon festival? I don't know if I would ever go to that because I don't want to.
Yeah, you would.
Have your whisper cause me to go off in the peat bog, and because we know what happens in the peat bog.
Yeah, sex.
Yeah, sex. Don't go into the moors.
I don't know.
Don't go into the moors.
Cold sometimes makes things smell, if you know what I mean. But overall, I didn't mean to go there. Overall, I really love this film. It is really well crafted. I think if you have Shudder, go watch it when it comes out. It is, and even if you're one of these people, I don't like subtitles. I mean, there's parts of it that are in English, but I think you get sucked into the story, you don't even realize it. And it's one of those films that actually tells a lot of story through the visuals. There's even a really cool sort of medium part that takes place in this fish aquarium room. I mean, there's so many unique things that happen. I mean, in this film that it's so well told. I'm just, and this is this guy's first film. It makes me, I'm gonna track this guy, this person that directed it, and see what stuff I do after this because it's well done. I had some nitpicky things with reaction people like standing there. You know, I'm sorry if you see some creepy girl looking at you, run. Or if somebody comes in your house, don't sit there and look at him if he's got a knife. Do something. But I don't know. I this gets a 5 out of 5 for me. I really, really enjoyed this movie so much. Wow. And I think anything, I feel very lucky and privileged to be on this podcast to see these films before they come out and tell people go see it because this. You know, this is why you should see films from other countries, different areas, to see different types of stories, because this is a well-crafted story that's just on the same level as other great horror films, and it's definitely something that needs to be watched. As for favorite scene, without giving anything away, it's the haunting ending. The ending is one of the best endings, one of the better endings to a horror film because of its haunting, beautifully shot and played out in a creepy way that it does it, to where you feel emotions for the characters in the scene, but also you're like, this is creepy AF. Wow, this is, but it's so beautiful. I can't say enough good things about it. This film is really brilliant.
Yes.
What's your score?
5. You gave 5.
Oh, you said 5?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh.
Sorry.
All right,
no, that's crazy. I just
let's have it.
Okay, so I agree with Christopher. It's a great movie. I mean, it's the story. The story is just really, really cool, and it's shot well. And as Doc and I both said, I forgot about the subtitles, which says a lot about the movie because there's sometimes I'm like, I don't mind watching subtitled movies, okay? But there are some times where I'm like, okay, here we go again. Yay. You know? But this one, I forgot. I wasn't even thinking about it. I guess I was really engrossed in the film. And there's a lot of weird creepiness in it it feels like it's not trying to be creepy. So that's why I think this movie's really successful in that regard. I'm giving it a 4. So that's really good for me, but wow, 5. Woo-wee. Anyway, okay. So my favorite scene, look, I totally thought about being an archaeologist when I was young. So I love archaeology, and my favorite scene is definitely when they find or they show the first mummy or body. I was like, oh my God, that looks so good. Like, I just remember seeing that in like textbooks and stuff and being like, that must look so cool in real life. I wonder what it feels like, hard, you know? So that was for me. I think they did an excellent job on those. They looked so real. So good.
They did. It was very effective. Very effective. Jeff, sir. Final thoughts.
I love you, Crystal. I don't think I know anybody else that would say, oh, I really would love to feel like what the centuries old.
Yeah. Yeah.
that we
hard.
pulled out of the
Fucking
blog.
really hard.
Okay. No, I'm right up there with Christopher. I think this is great, and again, as we talk, this is one of those movies you love to talk about, because as we talk, I think we've all thought of things that we didn't catch. And it's because there's so much in here, and almost everything means something, that fits into the story. So that's I love it, but I can't. I'm going 4.75.
Oh, good.
And my favorite scene, besides the ending, I guess.
Yes.
There's tons of them. There really is tons of them. I'll leave the one I think Doc's gonna want. So Crystal took the first mummy they find. I'm going to take the second one, because the second one is when you find out how they died.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it's just right out in the front, and you're like, oh my God, I never saw that kind of a kill before. That was freaky. So yeah, and that's one of those things that when you see that, it sets the tone for the whole rest of the movie. It's a whole nother level ghastly.
It is ghastly. Ghastly is a good description for it. Yeah.
Impending doom. So check this out when it's on Shudder. You must, yes. Especially if you like folk horror. It's really
definitely. Nice. Yeah, I second Jeff. So definitely check this out. I think we're all recommending it, and thank you, Shudder, for bringing these.
Yes, Shudder is the best.
And I this movie, like I said, surprised me. I was totally into it. I love the characters. I thought the dialogue and the interactions were natural. There's a part at the end when the archaeologist is trying to figure things out with why is somebody acting so different, and and that scene could have been written so awkwardly, right? But you felt his confusion, you felt his questioning what's going on, and it felt so natural under those circumstances what would happen, as it didn't feel forced, right? So it's really well written as well, I guess is my point. Even though I guess we're able to tell because there is so much English. I mean, it's probably a 25, 30, 33% English, because every time the archaeologist is on screen, they're speaking English, sometimes translating. So there's a lot going on in here, and I really enjoyed it. And it does have one of the very creepy reveal of a creature at the end, that is just not the creature I was expecting, by the way. But I did enjoy what they did give me. I'm tempted to give it a 5 as well. I'm going to go 4.75.
Oh, yay!
I am as well. Now the scene Jeff left me is the bed scene, I guess, and of course. But I want to point out another scene that for me was actually the start of when I realized, oh, this is actually going to be scary. And that's when the first intruder is in the house, and she walks in, and he's and she like freezes and tries to figure out what's going on, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I just had some milk," right? Some weird thing, but it was so creepy, and then it got creepier and creepier, and then when they're on the steps, I was tense. I was like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And they're kind of trapped because they can't get up the steps in time, and it seems like just get up the steps, but I relate. You're frozen in fear, right? And then the scariest part of it is weird because the character just stops and leans back and screams.
Yes.
And for some reason, I found that incredibly
spoopy,
frightening, right? I was like, oh my God. And it gets crazy after that too. But so from the time she finds him to that, I thought was just incredibly well crafted scene to. And it set the pacing for the rest of the film for me as far as the scares go. So
there's a tense moment with the knife that I was like,
ooh, yes, that's oh my gosh, no. Which is interesting because this is fairly early on, right? And you already care about the character. You already care. No, it's like, and that says a lot too. So. Yeah.
Well,
So
there's also another moment where a character kind of switches too.
so
We're
definitely.
like,
catch-
wait, which
What?
one? No, I'm sorry.
Got it
I'm
wrong.
like,
The mom
Oh, yeah.
character.
Yes,
oh,
yes,
oh
yes.
God,
Yes.
she's so creepy. She's so weird. She
Mm.
seems so. You know, the whole movie, I was like, the fudge is wrong with her.
Now we know.
Um,
Now you know.
Although there's a Chekhov's bear trap too.
There is. But it's handled. But it's handled well.
Check off bear trap.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because there's the part where like all the traps
Yeah.
are gone. I'm like, oh crap. But anyway,
So be sure to catch Moloch streaming on Shudder and let us know what you think in the comments below. Crystal,
Yeah.
Christopher, Jeff, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
and,
you.
thanks to Shudder for buying this film. I think it played at a big film festival, and they bought it right after it. I'm glad that Shudder
I
sort
love
of,
Shudder.
you know, there's all kinds of different movies that we like or don't like at different times, but this is like is a beautiful find that everybody needs to see when it goes on Shudder.
Look, the truth is about Shudder is you may not like everything, but guess what? For one low price, you can watch whatever you want as much as you want.
There's a little bit for everybody, you know, and I think this is something that people may not think because it's a foreign film and parts of it a foreign language. They may
really
not
good,
watch
though.
it, and it's really it's worth watching.
And they also have a lot of older stuff too. Like, what other streaming channel has The Deadly Spawn? You know, from the '80s. You know, that's a film that's kind of, you know, it has like a cult following. It's hard to find. But anyway, so check it out. Check Shudder out, and let us know what you think, guys. Let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Whispers, whispers, whispers.
No!
I see it.